Elden Ring has a few different options for who the main character is. Vike made the box, but in the launch trailer it was Vargram the Raging Wolf, and he was raging up a storm. In the main game, he's locked behind a secondary side quest that most people skip, but he's still neat. And he uses the Godslaying Greatsword, which is something I've always wanted to try. Since you can grab that weapon before fighting a single Remembrance boss, that makes Vargram a secret starting class. If you want to watch these runs live, follow us on Twitch. That's where we do it. Join the Patreon to support the channel. It's the best place to do that. To watch us play other games, check out Tulok Time. We did a Crab Souls run, Kingdom Hearts with minimum damage, and Astrobot with playing it because it's fun. Tulok the Cardbarian is where the Magic the Gathering content lives, and Tulok the Barbarian is where I'm going to make D&D 5e homebrew. Lots of irons in the fire. Now, let's get a fire sword in the iron. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know. We have to fight the Caelid Godskin Apostle first? Surely that won't be too bad.
How bad can I be? I'm just doing what comes naturally.
We'll kick it off as a samurai, which made chat think we were doing a Sekiro-style run. Hey, how'd the Bloodborne video do? That's kind of the determining factor as to whether or not we would do a Sekiro run. I want to try new things. YouTube doesn't. Go to Tulok Time for that. Actually, I have no idea how it went. Maybe it's at 1 billion views right now. I'm writing this early. Haha, I doubt it, but you never know. Am I right? Let's start off by imagining a samurai in Fort Height, not the wolf. We're not there yet, but I tend to hit Fort Height early because, well, actually, I don't really know why I did it this time. We don't have to go to Altus for anything. Autopilot. Like when the Sinister Six needs someone to fly their sinister plane. Caelid is where we needed to go first. Some free runes from Fort Faroth will help us out, but you know the real reason we're here? It's dope time. Crank Vigor right away, then head down a little bit into the Caelid Swamp for a very helpful boy, the Rot Dog. Important point though, I forgot to pick him up. I just grabbed the Grace and left. Whole reason I came down there. Whoops. I'm a fool sometimes, okay? I literally grabbed the weed we need to level up the dog in the Caelid Catacombs, but I forgot to grab the actual dog. Oh my god. Extra Pickle couldn't hurt. If you remember that reverse boss order run, the Godskin Apostle in Caelid was actually the most valuable boss you can kill at first. It's also probably the hardest in my opinion. No, actually wait, double Crucible Knights, that's worse. Weeping Peninsula detour early, we'll do it eventually, and to be fully honest, I am not looking forward to the flattening that is coming my way. Then we pick up the Rot Dog we were supposed to and touch Grace in Lernia to move Rodrika into the Round Table Hold. Rot Dog gives up to +5, but that's the only leveling up of equipment we're doing. No Uchi upgrades. I don't want to take the time to grab a bunch of smithing stones when the weed we needed for the dog was on the way. To stuff we'll need anyway. God, can you imagine a dog that loves weed? It's one thing if a dog loves gin and juice, but the devil's lettuce, that's too much. Our first boss is not the Godskin Apostle, but rather the Putrid Avatar with an unupgraded Uchi. Why do this? Well, it's a putrid avatar, so like, it's totally free if you're patient enough. Like someone who's constipated and has diarrhea at the same time would say, if you've got runs like this, you gotta be patient. At least we get plenty of bleeds.
Wait a minute!
Yeah, this is just an exercise in futility, but it's worth a ton of runes and will give us some very helpful physic ingredients to deal with the danger noodle. All told, we only have to dodge the dump truck for like 7 full minutes. Not really all that bad, though it did take our other pickle, and I definitely want to pickle if I am fighting the Godskin Apostle this early. It's my money, I deserve more of it. First though, we have to get there, through the tower that makes me want to quit the game. Literally, I quit the game. If you quit the game fast enough, you don't have to take fall damage. If we can make it through this, surely we can handle the Apostle. Just to be safe though, let's go bully Patches and Nerd Juice. First it's Nerd Juiced, and we actually take a second to get it done with the base equipment, but Yura still doesn't show up, because he sucks. Patches just gets his shield broken, gets crit, and then slashed as he begs for mercy. I'm the Raging Wolf, not the make sure Patches has a good time wolf. More pickles acquired. Let's get into this fight. I summon the Rot Dog, and it is attacking the enemy outside the fog wall. Bad start. Also gets hit through the fog wall without hitting the enemy through the fog wall, so yeah, it's even worse. Maybe if we just sprint to the other side of the arena, it will come to us, and it does. Yay. Even though it's a +5 dog, this dog does not like being hit. No dog does. Don't hit dogs. Can't wait for the stop being poetical people to yell at me for saying don't hit dogs. I think when I say people shouldn't starve to death, that's equally as controversial as don't hit dogs, but I feel like I'm gonna be disappointed by you. Anyway, Rot applied, so the dog did its job before dying. This sword is still unupgraded, but stance doesn't improve as you level a weapon up, so I'm just going for charge attacks and unsheaths when I can get stance pressure up, a few bleeds here and there, then stall out the Rot as long as we can for the win. It works like a charm. First try win. And the Godslaying Greatsword has been acquired. Took a lot of chores to get that done, but chores aren't always that bad, especially when you have today's sponsor, Raycon. That's right, gamers, this video is sponsored by Raycon. New year, new me, isn't that right? But if you've got a New Year's resolution, you might want some help tackling that with some comfortable, long-lasting earbuds. That's where the new everyday earbuds from Raycon come in. For me, my New Year's resolution is to stop having laundry in the big basket and to fold it and put it away for once. That can take a little bit of time, but that time goes by much faster when I'm listening to my favorite tunes or my favorite podcast. Raycon's everyday earbuds have a 32-hour battery life. You can get 90 minutes of charge from 10 minutes of charging. So even if you forgot to charge them, just a quick 10 minutes and you'll be set up to do a whole bunch of chores. They also have active noise cancellation, which is great if you're washing some dishes and there's a lot of loud water running. You can still hear what you want to hear and not just the sink. They also come in a protective case that makes charging easy and allows for wireless charging, if that's more your speed. To get your 2025 started off right, go to buyraycon.com/height to get 15% off everything site-wide. That's right, when you go to buyraycon.com/height, you will get 15% off any purchase. Thanks again to Raycon for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to that raging wolf.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me.
Step 1, we gotta make the Godslaying Greatsword live up to its name. It already requires a bunch of stats, and it's heavy, which means it's expensive to upgrade. Lots of work for this one, but at least you can get it early. Raya Lucaria Crystal Cave is great for some somber stones if you're short on dough and don't want to just buy them from EG. Hey, that's me. Against the Crystallion, we break the stance super fast. This is a colossal sword after all, then hit it with the Queen's Black Flame, or the QBF for short. It's got Black Flame on it, and it doesn't sound like queef at all, so don't make any jokes about that. This is also a very slow Ash of War, which makes it a little hard to get off. I'm glad we did Eileen in between this and Malekith, because that's really two colossal greatswords that scale secondarily with faith and have a type of flame on them that does percentile damage. Boggart gets his shrimps blackened, and we are on our way to Volcano Manor. If we want to not be naked in the future, we need to do our job. For some reason, I decide to do part of it now. We don't have to. Also, this means we get got by Istvan. I honestly think he's a little hard. He's got a ton of poison. He hits pretty hard if you're, naked. What I should have done, max out the Godslaying Greatsword and then do the chores. Oh well. Second try works fine. Fire is super effective against the hand outside the Volcano Manor. It's also super effective against your hands, so don't put your hands in the oven. Godskin Noble heavily resists fire, but our sword is +6 at this point, and it's heavy as hell. 2 heavies and a light attack are enough to stance break it. I've got plenty of health, so we might as well just hit the funny attack to end it. All that will unlock the path down to the Somber 7, so our sword is up to +9 with less than 2 hours put into the run. That's nice. I like that quite a bit. We cannot go kill Raycon yet, because that would shut off the quest that lets us get our armor. Oh no, I don't get to fight Raycon.
Oh no. Anyway.
But remember, we still need a ton of stats to make this really pop off, so let's get paid the best way I know how. A quick tour through the abandoned cave, and one of the funniest clean rot fights I've ever had. This is gonna hit them pretty hard, I think. Yeah, it hit them pretty hard. Yeah, you do that, buddy. You see how that goes. Good morning. Good to see ya. I love the flexibility of a standard weapon, don't get me wrong, but the silliness of a somber weapon being at +9 before fighting most bosses, it's unmatched. Margit is the same. Stance break incredibly fast, then hit him with the Ash of War. He doesn't even need the second hit. Mamma mia. Godric always ends up being the first Remembrance. I really just like to get his Great Rune early in the game. Not only do we hit him so hard we skip phase 2 though, he doesn't even start going into the phase 2 animation. I just realized that's because this does extra damage to him. It's the Godslaying Greatsword, and he's Godric.
It's science.
The GS, as some of the cool cats are calling it, scales with 3 different stats, but it's basically a pure dexterity weapon, weirdly enough, despite being the second longest colossal sword. Still, +5 to everything is great. Everything includes dex. That's the stat we need. How about a second putrid avatar then? This one gives us the stamina recovery physic tier, which is pretty neat. More importantly, it gives us the fire boosting physic tier, 20% more fire damage, and this does fire damage. Worth noting, just because it has black flame animation on the hit does not mean that enemies take black flame percentile damage on each hit. It's just a visual thing, except on the Ash of War. That is legit black flame. But it doesn't work on NPCs, I guess. Don't really know why. Apparently it had something to do with PvP. Love that they changed stuff in PvE to make PvP better. Thanks for that, sickos. Red Wolf time. One fully charged attack looks like about half health, so I need to see if it's a 2-shot. Getting the second hit off is a bit of a struggle, and as it turns out,
Missed it by that much.
Then it's time for Can, Moongrum, Parry It, Quibiff time, and it looks like that's a no. I was hoping we'd just be able to get on the elevator without him. Oh well, he's not going to be able to kill us as we head into Rennala anyway. Turns out the Godslaying Greatsword is a misnomer. It also works great on kids and widows. It's not as mean as it sounds. This isn't the actual widow, it's the illusion of the widow, summoned by her daughter, because the real widow is canonically cradling an egg, totally lost in her marbles. Also not a widow, divorced. There isn't a name for a mother who outlives their child. So I think worse than a widow, probably. Yeah, it sounds meaner. Party time, base game Radahn, or based Radahn for short. Now what's Leonard short for? Well, he just grew that way. He's weakest to fire damage. We skipped all of Godric's second phase. Maybe we can skip this second phase as well? No, not quite. Bummer. Still only one hit after the big meteor is pretty rad. At least we one phase the Mimic tier. It doesn't really have a second phase, but we stopped him from flasking, and that feels good. Moose isn't a god, or at least I don't think it is. It's regal, so it's the head of Moose State, at least. Do Moose hold Parliament? Unfortunately, even with a big long sword, sometimes we space things wrong, and it gets to heal twice. And even more unfortunately, it hits the rollout, and we died to the Moose.
I'm so embarrassed. I wish everybody else was dead.
Attempt 2. The game flipped stance pressure back on, so we kill it no problem. Carry a manner, I mean, we're working with a heavy sword. Maybe we'll get buff eventually. Loretta doesn't get to move until I get greedy and try to hit the Ash of War. It doesn't work. We get hit with the big arrow, but we still have enough health. It's fine. Just go hit her again. We'll run around for Ronnie. She does want to kill a god. We got the Godslayer Greatsword. I'm sure she'll help us out in some way, right?
What would you say you do here?
Astel gets the classic bonk bonk treatment. I agreed, into every teleport. We don't get a stance break until the end, but at least we get to end it in a classy and flashy way. I kind of forgot what I was doing when we came back for a second stream, so I just committed to do the second Volcano Manor murder and to take out Riley Cyrus. Also, I have a sore throat again. I think that I might have strep throat again. Don't know. Don't have health insurance for another 2 days, so we'll find out in 2 days if it's still bad. But just a heads up if you're wondering why the voiceover got weirder and sounds different. We hit him like a wrecking ball, and we can't stop making references until, well, we have to because he died really fast. The gargoyles are gatekeeping the waterfall that gatekeeps the capital, so let's bash him up. They're on the water. Our fire damage will do less damage, but it's mostly standard damage anyway. We were so close to stance breaking the first one until the second one drops down and ruins that. Do a little bit of running, finish it off, and get the stance break we should have gotten on the first Goyle against the second Goyle. First two Fias champs get hit, but then a gang fight, and they just kind of walk into the Ash of War. Once, twice, 3 times.
Are you dumb?
That's the end of our naked era. Time to get dressed and de-stress. Not that the first part of this was even all that stressful. Time to see if the sword works like it's supposed to, I guess.
It does exactly what it says on the tin.
We don't always kill the Erdtree avatar anymore, but if the weapon has fire, it's worth the time. Also, I want the levels. We don't have a Spear Dash for this one. If we did, it would be the Mimic tier dressed up as Errant Wilhelm, which would be pure int. So if we do want a Spear Dash, we need to invest in a stat that does nothing for our actual build. Probably just not going to happen, but if it is, we got to pinch our pennies. Finally, we find Vargram, and it's time to teach him how a pro does it. No, you don't understand. You just hit L2. Oh, no, he gets it. Okay, actually, he gets it. Okay, but what if I just tried the exact same thing again? It didn't work. It didn't work. Bernie is throwing. Where are my heals? I'm the best DPS on our team, but only if I have good heals. I've been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals lately, if you couldn't tell. Third time's the charm, though. Willem Dafoe over here really does have that spam ability. With both of them dead, though, we can finally get our clothes on, and can I just say...
Ooh, you good looking.
I'm not even a Fashion Souls guy. Whatever your armor looks like, who cares? The stats are what matter. But even I gotta admit, this hits. This one hits. There's a reason they put it in the trailer. It looks good, and I'm not afraid to say it. How hard do we roll Godfrey now that we have armor? Really, really hard. We even just kind of throw at the end, waiting to hit the funny move, because it's the funny move. Now Morgott gets clowned on. Huge crit right out the gate. He hacks up a lung, and he must have had pneumonia, because that's a lot of fluid. Just a couple more hits, and it's over. We not only saved our pickle with 3 minutes, we had 2 minutes to spare, and had to walk up the branch. That time was included. What an idiot. For Dem lands, it's time to learn how to be an obstructionist party. You know how you love to bend over backwards into a pretzel to compromise? Well, you're the opposition party now, so nothing goes through if it's not perfect for you. Got it? Thankfully, there's so much infighting in the Republican House that they might just self-sabotage on their own. We can stall out for 4 years. I guess that's better than, like, really not being on fire, but y'all still gotta stall. I believe in you, besties. Oh, no, I don't. No, I don't, but I'm hopeful. No, that's not it. Just try, please. Try a little bit. Fire Giant is a large lad. He resists fire by 50%, but again, this is mostly a standard swinger. I swapped out the physic to get more charged attack damage. Seems to have paid off. At the start of phase 2, we get a stance break and don't quite complete the Ash of War since we ran out of stamina, but don't worry, we get another stance break and we get there. Godskins should be our employees, I think. We'll talk about lore in a second, but the sword is so long that the chunky rolls out, we can still hit the R1s until we can't. So lore-wise, the armor set says that we were chosen by the Round Table Hold, but aspired to be a shadow to an Empyrean. Per the Black Flame ritual spell, the Glow-Eyed Queen was an Empyrean, so it would make sense that Vargram was trying to be her shadow. Feels like that also implies that the beastly aspects of Blythe and Malekith are something that happened to a normal human as they became a shadow. Malekith is the biggest and beastiest of the three. He was a shadow the longest. Blythe is the second because he is still a shadow, and Vargram is just a guy because he never got there. Glow-Eyed Queen died to Malekith, so it's time for some vengeance. Yes, it's a contest of the colossal swords wielded by shadow aspirants with faith scaling and a form of death. Boy, if I had a nickel. Stance break super fast, but I don't crit, instead waiting to get a charged attack off for more pressure in phase 2. Then get too greedy going for charged attacks. We still get the stance break, but he also lives. I gotta end with the funny hit. That gets us hit a lot more until it works. Goated. I'm simply the best. Gideon gets the full quabeef and then turns into a bit of a problem child, sending out spells just a bit faster than our attacks come out. Watching him back, I was a silly goose. Dashing R1s are all we need, but I've been accustomed to dashing R2s lately. It's my bad, everyone. Godfrey again. This time we won't be greedy and go for the R2s. Yeah, no way that was gonna happen. I'm greedy. It pays off this time though, getting us a nice crit before he starts the big stomp, so we can get 2 charged attacks going into phase 2, which means just a jump attack for a stance break, then he wants to stomp again, which means more free charged heavy attacks as he jumps down. One more hit, we get the stance break. So damn clean. For a fight that doesn't go clean, check out Radahn. It looks clean at first, damn near hitless as we bob and weave to get the easy crit. Plenty of pressure as he stands up, but then we get hit with the stomp. Big stance break, and here's the problem. I tried to do the Ash of War, which isn't fast enough.
You greedy dirtbag!
The second fight goes basically exactly the same, except no greedy. We just hit the crit, and he dies. Don't even need any follow-ups. Time for God. I wonder how the Godslaying Greatsword will do in this fight.
It's like, I was made for this.
Yeah, this thing hits Elden Beast absurdly hard. With the stance break, we have time to land the whole Ash of War, and wow, that's a lot of damage. Not at all practical to use that during a normal fight, but it works great here. I'm greeting in after the Elden Stars because I never learn and I want to use the iframes to dodge the Elden Stars. Works great, super easy Elden Beast. Of course, that's not the hard god, that's just the warm-up. Let's go do the Dragon God, Death Dragon God, Blood God, and Rot God. Dragon God first, it's just the fewest errands. Big stance pressure knocks him down, so we can land the full Monty Ash of War on him. It does some good damage, nothing crazy. Honestly, for how slow it is, I really think it should do more. We probably could have gotten more out of some R1s. This has a slightly unique R1 moveset for Colossal Swords. It's faster. I say slightly because the Fire Knight Greatsword in the DLC also uses it. We almost get Plousy into a corner for his Omega Laser. It's close enough that we only take a little damage from the breath, then hit all the charged attacks to end it with a big meaty crit. Hugs are fine, but I'm here to give Fortisax the sauce. She gets the sauce. Hitting the toes works well enough, though we do have some pretty bad lightning resistances. It requires a bit of a secondary strategy. Sometimes we have to drink red. Wow. What a difference. Niall's goons just kind of walk into the ash, and dude bows down in 3 hits. Absolutely pathetic that he immediately folds. Impressive. Hey, we should probably do Raycon, right? I mean, he's a remembrance boss. It's not a great fight. It's not a hard fight, but it's part of what we do here. So, you know, damn it. We're gonna do it. Penguin Noble continues to prove that NPCs are stupid enough to just walk right into the Ash of War. Maybe that's why they had to nerf it for PvP. I can definitely see some of you chumps forgetting to level your vigor and walking right into the Fire Sword. Moog has a way higher fire resistance than the Fire Giant, but that still doesn't really matter when we have a sword that bonks. He takes a weird amount of hits into his phase 2 before the stance break though. I have no idea how the counting works for reducing stance pressure, but I don't like it. Still, Blood God, cross it off the list. Up next, Horse Girl. That seems unnecessary, but hey, we gotta do what we gotta do. and we hit her with the sword. That's how you beat the horse girl. This is a full-blown bullying session. I legitimately feel bad for a computer program that's meant to look like a horse and a lady. She just doesn't get to move at all. Malenia will at least put up a decent fight, and she really does, even killing us the first time because FromSoft turned off the stance pressure switch. She just won't stop hitting super armor moves. Attempt 2, things actually work, and the fight goes a lot better. So much better that we beat her before she hits the second onion. That was really, really fast, and I didn't get any good clips in that section.
Sweets. Yes, cookies.
Time to grab a bunch of stuff off the ground while thinking about things in the game.
Goddamn right, it's a beautiful day.
Okay, so why isn't there a Gloam-Eyed Queen ending? Or like a Gloam-Eyed Queen in the game? It's Melina. We can all agree it's probably Melina. She's probably Marika and Radagon's third child. Malekith probably killed her, and she probably respawned sans memory at the foot of the Erd Tree. Reminder that per the description of the Black Flame ritual, the Gloam-Eyed Queen is an Empyrean. Mikola and Malenia are both Empyreans. It would make sense that the third kid of that pairing would also be an Empyrean. It's weird that Marika had 3 kids with Godfrey, Radagon had 3 kids with Rennala, and then they just have 2 with each other? Weird. Although I guess Mesmer also threw the 3 kids each thing for a loop. Yeah, what's the deal with Mesmer? Weird. Melina also follows the ratty Marika baby naming tradition of M names, which seems super confusing, but it's not like Marika was going to be a good mom anyway. When you have to do the Frenzied Flame ending, Melina promises you destined death, which is the Gloam-Eyed Queen's whole thing, and it even makes sense from a build perspective. The Blade of Calling is a Dex Faith weapon, just like the Godslaying Greatsword is a Dex Faith weapon. Oh god, should I do a Melina run?
No, I don't want to.
It seems so weird that they have all these hints in the game, but they don't totally commit to it, especially considering Melina and the Gloam-Eyed Queen have the same goals. Melina wants to toast the gods. Gloam-Eyed Queen is all about toasting gods. And from Melina's dialogue, it seems to be an egalitarian thing, at least for her, if she's not the Gloam-Eyed Queen, which, you know, she is. Destined Death applies that everything is going to die, but the gods don't. Marika kinda cheats death, and everyone is really shocked when Godwyn bites it. But per Melina's dialogue, it's also referred to as death indiscriminate, as in, everybody gets some. No special treatment for special people. I think the reason there is no Gloam-Eyed Queen ending is because Melina always accomplishes her goal one way or another. If you beat the game, the Elden Beast is toast. You do the other optional bosses, the Formless Mother and the Rock Goddess are also blocked off. Finish the DLC, now you don't have to worry about Mikola either. Claiming the remembrances of the game, you're effectively doing the work of the Gloam-Eyed Queen, eliminating any force that would claim power over the people in the lands between, including Marika's kids, the Carrion family, aliens, and even some ancient long-past rulers like the Regal Ancestor Spirit and Dragon Lord Placidusax. Hell, the way Melina has it planned out, she won't even be alive to rule. I've seen a lot of people call the Frenzied Flame ending the anarchist ending, but no, that's the accelerationist ending. That's burning everything down. If anything, Gloam-Eyed Queen would be the anarchist ending. No gods, no kings, everybody's just left to figure stuff out without the imposition of a class structure. But that's not an ending in the game, and instead you just become the new king, which is kind of how these things generally end up. Power is pretty goddamn appealing, and it's very hard to let go of. Hey, that's kind of the running theme of all the Souls games, and Elden Ring. There's always some big bastard at the top who won't give up their power and let the world be destroyed because of it. Considering we had real-life Vendrick from Dark Souls 2 in office for 4 years, it's also something that happens in the real world. And hey, conservatives, I'm dunking on Brandon here. I think he sucks too. I do think choosing the Dung Eater ending to own the libs is worse than Vendrick, but Vendrick was also a doddering old fool who made the world worse. Getting an ending without a power structure rarely happens in the real world, maybe like never. Not saying it's a bad goal, but unfortunately, it seems like anytime there's a vacuum of power, it gets seized quickly and violently. Or people who abolish the former power structure just take it over themselves. Damn, the French Revolution really started with, hey, let's abolish religion, until it became, actually I'm a god now. But then he got,
Knock, knock, who's there is Gilly?
Sorry.
That all makes for good gameplay though. I really think it would be interesting to get a Gloam-Eyed Queen ending. God, you can even save Melina by signing up with the Frenzied Flame, then shut off the Frenzied Flame ending to keep her alive. That should have been the Gloam-Eyed Queen ending. Make Melina summonable for Radagon and the Elden Beast. Give her the Godslaying Greatsword. Make her gray and all gloomy-eyed. Just have her show up at the Grace after you beat Godfrey. Okay, now I'm just writing fanfic. Oh, but she also ends up as a secret extra boss a la the Moon Presence with a cutscene where she explains she's gotta die too. Anyway, here's how the bosses went on the way to the shadow tree fragments. Golden Hippo is weak to fire, but the arena is flooded, so it kind of gets neutralized. Our big ol' stick hits nice and hard, but the speed leaves us open to punishment, or I guess the lack of speed. Ended with the trading stance break. That's a photo finish, baby. Take a picture of your computer screen, send it to your friends, and tell them that the Elden Ring YouTube man you watched hit the hippo in a funny way. Joy goes real bad, like real bad. This should be fun. We have a big old wompy stick, but instead of effectively womping everyone, we just kind of get bodied over and over and over again by the gank. This fight just stinks solo, and we're a lone wolf, which is bad for wolves. They're pack hunters. The advantage is hunting together. There's just no way this is the intended way to play the game. I just played Bloodborne, and these bosses are all more aggressive, more janky, and more in your face than everyone except Shrimp Boy and Maria. Honestly, we just sort of have to get lucky with the gank eventually. Luck ends up being a big factor with group fights, since every little ad adds a little more variance. Ancient Dragon Man is pretty easy to hit with the R1s until he hits us with a big chomp. I'm not anti-big chomp, by the way. I've just never had a run with big chomp as an option. Jagged Peak Drake. Oh, what fun it is to be hit by the dragon you're trying to help over and over and over again. Eventually, we break down the bad dragon and go to town on the Mad Taint. By the way, if you're wondering why there haven't been as many bad dragon references lately, apparently a stream regular used to work for the company, Bad Dragon. The company's pretty unchilled. So if you want your weird, funky, monstrous marital aids, seek them elsewhere. Now, let's seek out the rest of the remembrances of the DLC. We did all right going through the base game. How will the Godslaying Greatsword do in the Shadowlands? Gaius first, he's got the shadows behind his fight, but he's also a remembrance. This fight goes fine. Charged attacks, put the pressure on, just kind of locks him down. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Mesmer has better fire resistance, but also I forgot to pick up Jolan, so run all around, touch the finger bell, and then she's... wait.
Where are you?
Yes, we'll just hit him. Hitting him works fine. His fire resistance isn't all that high, and he's pretty easy to break down with a big heavy weapon. Now, Romina is generally pretty good at pushing away shorter weapons, but is weak to fire damage, and we have a long weapon with fire damage. This is a freebie, right? Well, not if she just keeps hitting her unpunishable moves. Generally, she's one of the more straightforward bosses, but we just get rollouts and flybys over and over again and can't actually hit her when she's in the air. I also can't hit her if her body is just a rolling hitbox. Add in some genuinely bad rolls on my end. I'll take a little responsibility for it, but it really is just a rough run through this fight. Okay, it took 5 minutes. Stop being a baby. I just expect better from the Godslaying Greatsword, you know? Guess that just goes to show that after the gods die, the cockroaches will still survive. Dancing Lion. He sure do love to dance, but I love to hit things. And, well, he's pretty easy once you get your shadow trees going. He's like Margit with a +9 somber weapon. Hey, we did that earlier today. If Dancing Lion is Margit, then Rallana is... Renala. Say that 5 times fast. She's kind of got hands, kinda, but it's mostly just us being very, very greedy and trying to get an early stance break. Sunflower goes great when you have reach or a fire weapon. We have both, and y'all, when we're finally able to hit that Ash of War on the head in phase 3, that's a lot of damage. That makes me feel pretty good. It's the only time we're able to land it in the whole fight, but hey, it's neat. Putrescent Knight shouldn't be a big problem with all this reach, or at least you'd think not, but alas, reach does not matter when a horse just carries the boss 20 feet away from you. For that, you don't need reach. You need a gun. Remember how Egon made this one kind of fun? I'm really glad we did that run, even though it sucked, because it showcases how there really was some love put into this game for ranged options. Not a lot, but some. More accurately, considering it from a game design perspective, I think you're just supposed to always have a ranged option as part of your character, and I don't get to do that. It's either ranged options only or no ranged options most of the time. Most of the ranged options are full-on garbage. It doesn't take all that long to get it to click. It's just frustrating when we have something with reach that still doesn't reach very well. Midor does not require reach because, well, have you met her? During the stance breaks, we ignore the crit in favor of the QBF. Is it better than a crit or even just 2 charged heavies? Who's to say? Someone else, because I don't know. We didn't do either of those. Funnily enough, our giant sword kind of blends in with the grass in the frenzied forest. It doesn't help the stealth section at all, but I think it's funny. Midra time, he resists fire a little bit more than other bosses, but it's like 50. It's fine. The big issue is his very large health bar and our very small magic bar. Low magic bar means we're going to go mad after like 2 hits. I wanted to prioritize other stats, so yeah, we have no mind. Also, despite the armor being pretty, it kind of stinks. If you don't have the good poise number, you also don't have good defense numbers, generally speaking, and we don't have the good poise number. Midra is also the first boss where I'm starting to notice our damage has fallen off. I don't know why, though. Like, Why is it doing so much worse than it did in the base game? Seems like we're just tickling every boss. I know Midra has a ton of health, but dang. Basically just gotta manage the greed a little bit. The R1s on this thing are good. I should enjoy them. I mean, they don't do great damage. Not sure why that's happening, but they're fast enough. Letta and the gang do not just walk into the Ash of War like the other NPCs have. It was so sad. We just have to hit the R1s like a loser. Now it's time for Radahn, and oh my god, why did this turn into a toothpick? In our first fight, we get 2 stance breaks before phase 2, and that's good, right? Well, no. We're using a colossal sword. If we're hitting him enough for 2 stance breaks, he should be at like half health. I thought maybe it's since he's using Mohg's body. He's got 80% fire resistance. No, it's a flat 40, just like everything else on him. And then we summon Ansbach, and that makes him beefier, but I'm factoring that in. We did it a few times without Ansbach. It's still terrible. I think this colossal Godslaying Greatsword might just be kinda mid for late game, especially considering all the work you gotta go through to pick it up. You gotta go up the Tower of Caelid, down the Tower of Caelid, fight a Godskin Apostle. You know what else you can grab? Just like walking around in Caelid? The Greatsword, the Olivia Rodrigo Guts Greatsword. Much like Malekith, this just doesn't compete with the vanilla version. So why did Malekith's do so much better? Well, he had 2 more buddies, the Beastmen. Spirit Ashes make the game easier. In the same way that buttons make your controller better, you could use the controller by peeling off the buttons and using a toothpick to hit the internal mechanisms of the controller. Sure, but you could also press the buttons on it because you're supposed to have the buttons on it. They put Spirit Ashes in Elden Ring because you're supposed to use them. I guess, yeah, it's easier, but it's also intended. But also Malekith's sword hit harder too. The damage was much better. Phase 1 Radahn is a little weaker to Holy than he is to Fire, but I really think it's just a matter of scaling. Wait, oh my god. Malekith was an NG plus run. This is base new game, and it's still so much worse.
You're trash, Brock.
The armor was also a lot better. In the potential shadows, using a faith-scaling colossal sword with some sort of death associated with it competition, Malekith clears. Winning run takes about 45 minutes to get to. This is a run with Ansbach. We get the first stance break with around 15% of his health gone, and Lord, I am being generous when I say 15%. For context, Ansbach gets a bleed at the end of phase 1. That's how slowly we got to phase 2. Also, the iconic stance break chunk plays during the phase transition, so we missed that. Neat. Definitely want to spend more time dodging things in phase 2. Of course, we do get another stance break, so that's 3 now, and he's still got a nice healthy 40% of his HP bar left. Oh my god. Also, we started cheating. Yeah, I put Lord's Divine Fortnitification on the build as a mercy rule because this was just miserable. Ansbach gets another bleed, then gets grabbed. 2 bleeds, by the way, means that even if he did no other damage, he more than made up for the rest of his health that he gave Radahn. Just a few more hits and we win. After that, even Bale goes poorly. And it's Bale. Yeah, this one's hard to rank because it really did fine until the DLC. The issues are pretty clear. It needs to be less of a lone wolf and get a buddy of some sort. Though even in fights where we had NPCs, it didn't do much better. Really, there's just no reason to use the Godslayer Greatsword unless you like the Ash of War. The Ash of War is pretty bad. Much like I said with Malekith, you could just grab the Olivia Rodrigo Guts Greatsword or the Zweihander and put any Ash of War you like on it. It would be infinitely better. I think we'll put this in C tier. Also, this one gets dunked on even harder because there's the Fire Knight Greatsword, which has innate fire damage scaling, but is still infusible from the DLC. So yeah, C tier. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We're making more videos all the time. Join the Patreon if you want to support the channel. That's the best place to do it. Go subscribe over on Tulok Time if you want to watch me play some Marvel Rivals. That's the next video that's going up there. We're doing some Magic the Gathering content on Tulok the Cardbarian. And follow Tulok the Barbarian if you want to see D&D 5e homebrew. Bye-bye.